Star Wars Connection and Force Awakens present The Last Jedi novelization, a tipsy review. Hello everyone, I am your designated driver, Irina. Here with me today are Tina, Felix, and Michelle, who have all been drinking the news.
Hi, my name is Tina with me, and I have my special guests, my greyhounds Rupert and Brett Dog. I suppose I could have them rue or howl for you guys, but they usually take up a long time when they do that. Once you get going, you can't get them to stop, so we're going to pretend that they just rude.
Hi, I'm Felix. The kids refer to our pet Hux as Orange Cat. He's probably plotting galactic domination as we speak.
Hi, this is Michelle, and I'm with my dog Hugo, and he's the kind of dog that you get if a Jack Russell can stand still long enough to either hump or be humped by a pit bull boxer mix. And my other dog, Aria, would be here, but she's giving me the cold shoulder right now because she's jealous of Hugo. And I've given them both bully rings to try to keep them quiet during this podcast.
So yeah, I don't have a pet. I'm just here, all by myself. No wine.
Aww.
Anyway, wine tasting with us today, except I'm not drinking wine at all, are special guests from the sequel trilogy, Rey, Finn, Poe, Ben, and General Leia Organa.
Hello!
Hello, ladies.
Hello, and hello.
Whatever.
Hey, Ben, don't be rude. Hello, everybody. We're so happy to be here.
Okay, so just before we start, Princess Leia, I just wanted to say it's an absolute honor to finally meet you.
Hey, whoa. It's not Princess. It's General Organa.
Why, geez. Thanks for the information, Barbara.
That's Poe.
Whatever.
Your name is totally Barbara.
You're funny.
Well, thank you, dear.
Okay, so guys, and like I said, we've been drinking about since noon, but, we're just having a good old time. So let's go back and begin by talking about the Force Awakens novelization that was released way back in December 2015 at the same time as the premiere of the film. Felix, do you want to give us your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have to tell you, I think my favorite part was what I call the Deep Thoughts with Kylo Ren stargazing monologue, where it almost sounds like the setup for a scandalous love scene between Kylo and Mitaka. So, Chapter 7, Kylo Ren was different. Not precisely a superior officer, but something else. At that moment, Mitaka would rather have been anywhere else in the civilized galaxy than alone in a room with Kylo Ren. The caped figure did not turn. He was tracking the lieutenant with something other than eyes. Something to report, Lieutenant? Or have you come, like myself, to marvel at the view? Sir? A gloved hand rose to take in the sweep of light and energy arrayed before them. Look at it, Lieutenant. So much beauty among so much turmoil. In a way, we are but an infinitely smaller reflection of the same conflict. And it goes on for an entire paragraph of Ben waxing deep about the stars as a metaphor before he chokes out Mitaka for mentioning the girl.
What? What? Is that weird? What?
Oh, my sweet little sociopath.
Stop calling me that, Mom.
Well, my favorite part of the Force Awakens novelization was when Alan Dean Foster's take on the interrogation scene. The good stuff starts actually on Takodana, back when Kylo first freezes Rey in the forest. So starting at page 182, is it true then? You're nothing special after all? You're just a Jakku scavenger? How did he know that? She agonized as she stared back at him. Surely she hadn't thought it. She tried to keep her mind blank, her memory locked, and he still wormed his way in. He touched her anew. This time the pain of trying to save him off brought tears streaming down her face. He was within her mind and her thoughts, and there was nothing she could do to keep him out, to resist. But she kept trying. When we get to the actual interrogation scene, particularly the unmasking, which is on page 197. You still want to kill me, he murmured. Her true self got the better of her, and she replied tactlessly, despite the danger. That happens when you're being hunted by a creature in a mask. She had a moment to ponder his possible reaction and to fear it, but he did not do what she expected. Instead, he reached up, unlatched, and removed his mask. She just stared at him in silence. In itself, the narrow face that looked back at her was not remarkable. It was almost sensitive, if not for the intensity of the gaze. Ren could have passed for someone she might have met on the dusty streets of Nema Outpost, but there was that gaze. That and what lay simmering behind it. He touched her new. It might be my favorite 4 words strung together in the entire novelization, and it still cracks me up.
Okay, so my favorite part of the Force Awakens novelization is probably a bit of a Star Wars history thing, because, you see, kids, Alan Dean Foster wrote some Star Wars shit in the 70s, okay? So in the time between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, he wrote a novel called Splinter of the Mind's Eye. So the reason why this lovely piece of literature was written among many other old EU masterpieces, such as, you know, That Time Insect Aliens Fucking Happened, that was because George Lucas was sure that A New Hope would be a flop, and this novel was basically the movie we would have got. So it's Star Wars on a budget. But A New Hope didn't flop, and we got The Empire Strikes Back and the masterpiece that is the Star Wars Holiday Special. Anyway, the reason why this novel is hilarious is because it has a romance between Luke and Leia. So after this traumatizing experience, I'm ready to bet $50 Alan D. Foster gave the story group a couple of calls to ask, so, can you guarantee me without the shadow of a doubt that Rey and Kylo Ren are not related?
I can't blame him, you know. But I'm just gonna reiterate with Michelle about he touched her anew. Like, there's a reason why I snickered when she read that line. I mean, that is the stuff of Harlequin romance right there. So I'm gonna touch upon the Takodana scene where Rey and Kylo first meet. So, halting an arm's length away, he studied her face from behind his mask. When he finally spoke, she sounded at once impressed and surprised. You would kill me, knowing nothing about me. Finding that her mouth and her lips worked. Wow. She replied defiantly, Why wouldn't I kill you? I know about the First Order. I would say otherwise, but that is a small thing. Simple ignorances are easily remedied. As he spoke, he walked slowly around her paralyzed body. Frightened, she tried to follow him with her eyes, but her head would not turn. So afraid, he murmured. Yet I am the one who should be afraid. You shot first. You speak of the Order as if it were barbaric, and yet it is I who was forced to defend myself against you. Something. And then he sounded mystified. There is something. Who are you? Is it true then? You're nothing special after all? You're just a Jakku scavenger? And cut. I just gotta love how he says about Rey shooting first isn't wrong, even if he's being a bit overly dramatic about it. I mean, he's right, isn't he? And, well, another interesting part about the TFA novelization is that Rey really seemed like a kid in a candy store after leaving Jakku. She liked Poe's face, and also Kylo's, and Finn's, and probably Han, and Luke, because, you know, Alan Dean Foster shipped her with every male that was in the book.
Yeah, well, you know, girl's been trapped on a sand planet with only Unkar Plutt to look at. She probably didn't know there was that much peen in the entire galaxy.
Yeah, well, I gotta say, thank goodness Jason Fry solidified exactly which man Rey has her eyes on in The Last Jedi novelization. As if the film didn't convince you, the novelization only ships Rey with one single person, and I'll give you 3 guesses who that person is. The first two don't count, and it pretty much beats you over the head with it.
Yeah, well, that's well and good, but I'm personally glad we have wine for this thing, because here we are, starting off strong in the prologue. Luke Skywalker stood in the cooling sands of Tatooine, his wife by his side. And then later on, good old Uncle Luke seems to think it'd be real cute to tell the caretakers Rey is his niece.
Well, you know, Ben, it seems that some people think we're cousins.
Well, you know, that still wouldn't be as bad as the situation with certain mothers and uncles who shall remain nameless.
Okay, but what about that time Rey danced with Luke? That was really cute.
Wait, what?
No, not in a weird way.
Weird. I wasn't even thinking along those lines, but now I am. Thanks.
So, no wonder Luke was surprised when he walked in on you two. I'd blow up a hut too.
Well, he did see Rey touch fingers with the Son of Darkness on a sacred island, and she didn't even make him keep his glove on. It says right here, the connection between them was so raw and powerful that it reminded her of touching a live wire in the wreckage of a starship. Kylo Ren was right next to her, where she sat on the stone bench, as if she could actually reach out and touch his hand, his face, his hair. At the sight of him, she felt relief surge through her. Their fingers actually touched. She grasped his hand. Luke Skywalker walked into the hut to find Rey and Kylo with their hands clasped, staring into each other's eyes. Okay, and then there's that one deleted part of that whole scene where Luke tells Rey she, and I quote, would give us over to the dark side for a pair of pretty eyes. So, yeah, Luke was jealous.
That's just creepy.
Hey, look, I'm sure he was just having fatherly type feelings towards Rey.
I thought he was too old to have any other kind.
Hey, watch it!
Oh no. A man can admire whomever tickles his fancy for as long as he is alive.
Well, even with Rook versus Rey-lated confusion, this saucy imagery made it to the text. Rey fell back and dodged the segmented whip of another guard. She could hear Kylo's lightsaber spitting and crackling behind her, and his grunts of effort.
All right, okay. Ben, may I call you Ben? Calm down. You just killed the Supreme Leader. There's gonna be plenty of time for that later.
Hey, I see you're an ass man too, Ben. I can appreciate that.
Huh. What exactly is an ass man? I thought that was Hux.
Oh, you're so clueless. It's so cute.
Look, just because he was looking at her ass doesn't necessarily make him an ass man. I mean, Rey has a very eye-catching patoot. You can't help but look at it.
Thanks?
Okay, Rey, between girls, we'll talk. Ass or tits?
Thigh?
I knew it!
But wait, there's more. So, between them, and this is the part where the lightsaber, Anakin's lightsaber splits in half, it says, between them, the lightsaber shivered and danced. They stared at each other, eyes locked, caught in their tug-of-war. The crystal seemed to keen in the Force. A wail Rey could feel in her bones. I'm sorry. I'll continue. This is almost too much. She and Kylo were sweating now. Neither willing to give so much as a millimeter in their standoff, until the crystal sheared apart, its unleashed energy tearing the lightsaber's housing in half and filling the room with a flash of brilliant, blinding white light. I can't with that. I don't even know what I feel like we could end the podcast right there. Okay, Jason Fry, I think it's time you come clean with your AO3 handle, because it's the only time I have ever seen the words keen and whale used in the same sentence is in smutty fan fiction.
And let's not forget the completely and totally platonic flirting before entering Snoke's crimson boudoir. Kylo Ren knew who was in the escape pod before it even opened. He just smiled at the sight of Rey, cramped into the pod's tight confines. His smile faded at the sight of his uncle's lightsaber. "I'll take that," he said. "It belongs to me." "Strange, then, that it called to me at the castle," Rey said, "and not to you." The corner of Kylo's mouth twitched in the beginnings of a smile, and he inclined his head at the soldiers filling the hangar. "You're in no position to dictate."
And you had shackles, too. That's naughty.
Yeah, I think the handcuffs were kind of forward for a first date.
So, I gotta love how the lightsaber can be a shoo-in for Ben's peen, and they're basically arguing over it.
Right? And besides wiener ownership, that whole section is also them arguing over who's on top with that "you're in no position to dictate" bit while he hovers over her.
What? Why is everyone making eyes at us? And besides, I didn't say any of that.
Me neither.
Were we on drugs?
Well, I think Ben had to have been to think "You're nothing" was the line that would seal the deal. Might want to change your marketing strategy.
So, going back to that, thank you, Felix, because that reminds me of something. I want to give Ben a reminder of word for word. You did say that to Ray, which aired before the entire world, I might add. So, I'm going to read this excerpt from page 244 of the novel. She found Kylo standing over Snoke, Luke's lightsaber in his hand. He stared down at the body of his master. Above them, the First Order banners burned. Ben, she asked. That's my old name, he said. What? There was neither fear nor anger in Kylo's eyes, just deep resolve. It's time to let all things die, he said. Rey, I want you to join me. Snoke, Skywalker, the Sith, the Jedi, the Rebels, let them all die. We can rule together and bring new order to the galaxy. She stared at him in disbelief and in horror. Don't do this, Ben, Rey said quietly. Please don't go this way. Kylo stepped over Snoke's corpse. You're holding on, he said. Let go. He advanced on Rey, the ignited lightsaber held loosely in one hand. But there was no threat in his approach. Somehow, suddenly, that scared her even more. Do you want to know the truth about your parents, he asked. Or have you always known, and have just hidden it away? Hidden it from yourself? Let it go. You know the truth. Say it. Rey tried to find the strength to deny him, to shove him away. But he was right. He did know the truth, and it was the same as her greatest fear, the one that had haunted her for so long, a truth she could no longer take refuge from. They were nobody, she said, and he said, they were filthy junk traders who sold you off for drinking money, Kylo said. They're dead in a pauper's grave in the Jakku desert. Tears filled Rey's eyes. She fought to keep her emotions contained, fearing that if she released them for even a moment, they would overwhelm her and sweep her away. Kylo was just a pace away now, his eyes locked on hers. You have no place in this story, he said. You come from nothing. You are nothing. And then his eyes softened. But not to me. Join me, please. He turned his uncle's lightsaber off and stretched out his hand to her. Cut. So, Ben, I gotta ask you a question here. So, what, pray tell, was going through your head when you proposed these words to Rey in Snoke's throne room? I gotta ask.
That we'd totally be kick-ass rulers of the galaxy, and we'd get married and live happily ever after. The end.
So, okay. So in light of how things turned out, what would you have done differently to get her to come to your side, given that what you say didn't work?
After the battle, I would have walked up to Rey and just totally kissed her. I mean, why speak when you could, just do that? she totally would have slapped you.
Well, for what it's worth, according to a lot of the fanfics that have come out after The Last Jedi, Rey and Ben should have just boned on the throne room floor after killing that last guard.
I agree.
Come on.
Ben, I think Rose is harmed by you. There's this thing where she says, I don't know why I'm trusting you, she said. It's the baby-faced. Ben replied, blessing and a curse. Oh yeah, also, this other part, Rey. Rose wants to dump him again.
Typical man.
So, speaking of typical men, here's an excerpt from the first Force Bond scene on page 117. Let's go back to this line. So, he sounded like a student contemplating an interesting problem and expecting her to work as his partner to solve it. That infuriated her. So, Ben, this is just such a typical dude reaction to learning of your predicament. You're just trying to figure out how stuff works and functions while poor Rey is screaming at you. Weren't you so glad to see her, though, even though she was pointing a blaster at you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I got a little tingly. Oh, okay. A lot tingly. I mean, she's pretty hot holding a blaster, even if it is my dad's blaster.
Well, of course he was happy to see her. Why do you think he got naked 2 scenes later? Kylo was stripped to the waist in his chambers. Rey forced herself to look into his eyes, those angry, haunted, needy eyes. Do you have something you can put on? Kylo ignored that, and Rey made herself focus. His gaze was hungry and knowing.
When did Star Wars become a cheesy romance novel? Oh, I can just see the cover.
Yeah, me too, and I'm not on it.
Oh, no. Nope, you sure aren't.
I actually did see the cover. It's by Eric Mail, and it's called The Abduction. If you're not familiar, you should look it up. But yeah, they were already wondering if they could touch before that. Here's the second Force Bun Skype, where it says, could they actually touch across the galaxy? He felt something strange, and he looked down at his gloved hand. There was water on his palm. He stared at it, then balled his hand into a fist to hide it from his sight.
Hiding water from his sight? That doesn't make sense. Oh, I get it. It was his tears.
No. That was totally rain. Or ocean spray. And FYI, Kylo Ren doesn't cry.
Oh, wow. I'm taking you so seriously right now.
That rhymed. Is that a poem? Are you a poet and just don't know it? Damn, I'm good.
Oh, come on. That is such an old dad joke.
What? No way. I just totally made that up. Okay, I was still talking. My point here is there's no crying. There's no crying on the dark side. No crying.
Oh, really?
That was obviously photoshopped.
Okay, Poe, let's change gears here and talk about what an asshole you were in The Last Jedi.
Whoa. Excuse me? Holdo was the asshole. Why didn't she ever just tell me there was some kind of a plan?
She did. The novelization actually showed that scene.
What? Yeah, I have no memory of that.
Anyway, what was the idea of communicating with the Resistance entire plan with a comlink? You know, while your buds were on the supremacy?
Hey, I didn't know Mr. Master Codebreaker was gonna go rogue on us.
Anyone could have heard you, jeez!
He wasn't the Master Codebreaker. He was a Codebreaker. Really, he was just some guy we picked up in jail. We shouldn't have been surprised. Why weren't we surprised?
So, and Poe, going back, while we're at it, do you have any understanding of military protocol at all?
Obviously not.
So, did Rose and Finn really need to know about those escape pods? Had you not told Rose and Finn, the First Order ultimately wouldn't have gotten their hands on that information, and the people on all 30 of those pods would have been spared. How does that make you feel?
Look, I was under a lot of pressure and stress. And I might have been drinking very heavily for a couple of weeks.
What? Come over here. I'm gonna slap you again.
Oh, I don't think so. So, look, maybe I had loose lips that sunk ships. My bad.
Okay, so, how's the Resistance planning to, win the war? Because what I'm seeing is that people on both sides are really sucking at their job.
The power of totally platonic friendship.
Okay. By tabarnouche. Wow.
Another question. Poe, I'm just gonna come right out with it. Poe, are you begging Connix? Because she totally follows you around like a teenage girl with a crush on her older brother's bad boy asshole friend.
Yeah, Plead the Fifth? Does that work in Star Wars?
I actually think Connix and Mitaka would be cute together.
Well, yeah, but there was an awkward tension between Mitaka and Ben in the Force Awakens novelization, remember? So I don't know that Mitaka's into girls. Hey, I know. Maybe Mitaka and Hux.
Hey, wait a second. Who is this Mitaka person that keeps popping up? Ben! Did you have a boyfriend and not tell me?
Yeah, Mom. Yeah, I totally had a boyfriend. Mitaka was totally my boyfriend, and all your dreams are coming true.
What?
Okay, so, Leia, you know what happened between Ben and Luke, right?
Well, duh. He torched Luke's Jedi school and killed everyone.
I didn't kill everyone, Mom.
Oh, shut up!
Oh, so, Luke didn't tell you?
Tell me what?
He may or may not have tried to kill Ben in his sleep, and, Ben kinda woke up at the wrong moment, so he defended himself. Are you okay?
Oh man, this awkward silence is killing me. I gotta go see a man about a dog.
Luke! You piece of shit! Get your first ghost ass over here!
No? And you already knew this. You brought it up during our movie review, remember?
I did? Well, I must have been drunk.
You're drunk now.
Ah, that's it. Family meeting. Ben Schumacher solo rounds you two.
Mom! Really?
Your middle name is Chewbacca?
No! Wish I was dead.
Well, so much for our book reading. Finn, are you as sloshed as I am?
Who said that? Where am I?
Alright, so thank the maker for this wine. Pinot Grigio is the best.
Yay, wine!
Yay!
So, this was interesting. That will be all for today, I think. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you to The Force Awakens, and subscribe. Nah, I don't care. I need to drive these people home, and I think I'm gonna get drunk too straight afterwards, so peace out.
Bye, guys. Thank you, and please reach us on Star Wars Connection if you guys have any questions, comments. We look forward to your feedback, and take care. I'm going to try to clean up this mess. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Bye!
Why?
All right. I just,